I was a guy, I was going to go as hard as I could all the time. Well, guess what? You can't do it. It's just not physically or mentally possible. But 5 to 6 hours, 4 to 5 days a week is a lot of training. I will say that, especially if we tie it in with the autopilot, there are diminishing returns after about 3 or 4 hours of ranked. So just keep that in mind. It's going to be more about what I might say is your first 2 to 3 hours of ranked should be as intense and as focused as you possibly can. And then I saw this too. It's similar to the weight training thing you're talking about. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and then what I want you to do is I don't care if you have to play in an alt. I don't care if you off roll, play something else. I want you to consciously turn your brain off after 2 or 3 hours and just play. That might mean you need an alt. Maybe that means that you're not allowed to play DPS for those games. Or maybe you just don't play any more Overwatch for the day. But I want you to not try and focus on not autopiloting for 5 to 6 hours a day. Please do not do that. That is just frankly impossible. Burnout too, yeah. Right. Well, it's burnout, but it also means that what's likely going to happen is if you're trying to stay focused for 5 to 6 hours every single day, then you're not going to be focused for the first 2 or 3 hours. Did you play much sports growing up as a kid?
Yeah, I played football, played a little bit of baseball.
Perfect. Okay, football. How long did you play football? Did you play football in high school, middle school?
3.5 years. I tore my ACL my senior year.
That sucks. Did you have like an old school tough coach?
Oh yeah, I actually had not to brag, but we had the most winningest coach in the United States.
Wow.
Old John McKissick, dude. He had like 700 wins.
Fascinating. Okay, so I played a lot of tackle football in high school, and I had an old school coach, and I had an old school coach. Because I liked my high school coach, but I'm gonna throw my middle school coach under the bus a little bit. All right, hopefully you see this. All right, he was an old school toughness, and you gotta go 100% all the time. Yeah. Can't talk like this, you know. All right, everybody hit the dirt. We're gonna go hard all the time, you know. And basically, the idea is that all right, this is the graph. Okay, intensity over time, guys. We're gonna go 100% intensity all the time, you know. We're gonna get these, you know. And I'm in middle school, and we're doing 3-hour practices. Right. 3-hour practices, 3 or 4 times a week, right? You know how this goes.
Now, just trying to make you tough,
right? And listen to me. I was a good kid. I had good parents. I worked as hard as I could, man. I was a coach's pet, right? I was pretty talented in high school, but in middle school specifically, I wasn't super strong, right? I was a really skinny kid. So
yeah,
I was a guy. I was gonna go as hard as I could all the time. Well, guess what? You can't do it. It's just not physically or mentally possible. So here's what ends up happening with me, okay? This is the theoretical graph that the coach has drawn out for me in my mind. This is what ended up happening over the course of the practices, right? This is right.
Yeah, right.
And I would be like, come on, push. Just and listen. And this is where the other bad thing about this, at least in terms of physical sports, is this is where injuries happen too. And I got injured a lot. I got injured a lot because I had a lot of concussions. I had a lot of busted up ribs and busted up knees because I really tried to go as hard as I could all the time.
Oh, I'm the injury meister, bro. I mean, I know. But
right. And this is why this stuff happens, is because it's just not possible to do that. It's old school and it's stupid. It's not how human beings, we can't do that, right? We have bursts of intensity, then rest, or bursts of intensity and rest.
I tore my ACL in a spring game, so.
Yeah, exactly. Now what happens then is
going ham in practice. Like, what are we doing, dude?
Yep, exactly. It's stupid. Now, let me give you the alternative. They were the kids that I hated. I had no respect for, right? They were maybe the kids that were like more physically talented than I was at the time.
Of course, yeah.
Right? And here's what they did. You can probably guess where their graph was, right? They did this.
Oh yeah.
But see, I didn't really learn from that because I thought they're just I don't know what they're doing. I hate them. But you know what? They just kind of stayed there, right? They never really went high, they never really went low. They just kind of stayed in the middle. And guess what? They would survive the practice. How?
The consistency.
Right. They knew that this practice was going to go for 3 hours and the coach respectfully was full of bull. So that I can't go hard, so I'm going to save it up. I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it for the end, and then maybe at the end I'm going to give it my full go so I look, nice and sexy for it. But that's how it works, right? That's how human beings work. And this is why you need to understand intensity for video games, because in anything, if you go as hard as you can, you are going to run out of gas at some point in time.
And as much as I hate to admit it, I definitely do that because I've had days where I play for 12 hours and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
Right.
So excuse me, I don't know if
you're fine. So either you're going to be doing this, and then you're going to sit like this for the rest of the day with occasional bumps of, God, I need to stop autopiloting, but you're going to go right back into it. Or you're gonna be one of those show off kids. You're gonna do this, and you're never ever gonna go with intensity ever. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I see what you're saying. Stay at the intensity, get the peak, and then take a break.
Exactly. Get the intensity. As it starts to dip, take a break, reset, go again. And what that might mean is that, yes, this might not be as high as the previous one, but it's still going to be relatively high. And what I would also say is if you really do want to play for a lot of hours, you need to draw a line in the sand 2 to 3 hours in, guys. The rest of the day, I'm going to let myself autopilot and just play for fun. I might play quick play, I might off roll, I might do whatever.
Right.
But this time right here,
I'm shot calling, I'm ult tracking, I'm positioning, I'm
right. Okay, well maybe not. That's everything. You might just be hyper focused on the thing that we give you in this review. You see what I'm saying? You're hyper focused on what you need to get better at, whatever that may be for that hero, whether it's tank, DPS, support, positioning, cooldown usage, mechanics, whatever. This green, this is a horrible drawing. This green window right here, the first 2 to 3 hours, is that's gold. That is solid gold. That it means 100% full intensity. Everything you got, everything else, just chaff. We don't give a rip about that. But if this isn't gold, you're wasting your time.